Thanks for joining us for this week's Health News You Can Use. I'm Leisy Stish. This week, we're talking about grief during this holiday season and how you can bring hope to your holiday if you've lost a loved one. I'm joined today by Bruce Leisy, Bereavement Coordinator with St. Luke's Hospice House. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, Lindsay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
The holiday season is here, and with more than 300,000 deaths from COVID-19 in the U.S., more families than ever will be going through their first holiday without their loved one. The losses our communities have suffered can make the holidays a very hard time for grieving families and friends. Well, first, Bruce, St. Luke's grief coordinators work daily with families who have lost loved ones and help them through the process of their first year after their loved one has passed. Can you explain how the first year can be hardest after a loss?
Yes, Lindsay. The first year is very difficult, and we believe that really bereavement begins at the diagnosis, or definitely at when they enter in hospice. And so we like to get involved and introduce ourselves and make ourselves available on that anticipatory loss. It's just kind of a very scary and just a difficult place for those who've lost their go-to key person in life. And so so if all of us in a sense are grieving the loss of our life that we've been we have that low dose form of grief, those that have lost that key person is just particularly harder at this point, Lindsay. So we see a lot of folks really struggling and hurting at this point, and it's our privilege to walk alongside and help.
And what can people's grief journey look like?
Well, I'd just like to begin, in a way, if you think about it, we're living now in this age of the pandemic, and all of us, I think, are grieving the life that we have been living. We all have, in a sense, if we're in this world of COVID, we've all been tested positive in a way for some form of grief. We've all lost, some of the things that we've been living with in the past, and we want that back.
That's a great point. So with this holiday being so different already due to the pandemic, what are some things people can do to bring hope, comfort, and some joy to their holiday? Yeah.
Hope is the key thing. And I like to use that, if you think about it, hope is an acronym. If you think of the letters HOPE, hope. H is for our loved ones. First of all, they're going to be in our hearts for the rest of our lives. That's non-negotiable. So at this holiday season, we want to lift up their memory, use their name. And O is for we're open to this opportunity. If we have been loved and loved, we have kind of won the lottery in many ways. And the holiday season is a way to lift that up. Key in the word hope is for us to have permission to do things differently this year, particularly with the holidays and COVID and this pandemic. And we're going to just mix things up. And E is for expectation. In the word hope, expectation is huge. Yeah, we're going to expect to be sad this year. We're going to expect to be sad maybe every holiday season, when we think about the loss of our loved ones. But we're also going to have those joy bursts. We're going to know that our loved ones are with us, and that we know that our loved ones are that special place in our life.
So on the other side of the grief spectrum, is it okay for people to take some time away from their other family members over the holidays to grieve?
Absolutely. I think, when we think about our grief journey, it's very individual. And that's the hard thing about COVID is because there's going to be more isolation than we're used to. But we want to get into community. We want to be together as much as we possibly can. That's safe. And whether we have to do it virtually or physically distanced or whatever we have to do. But this year is different. But we also have the right to do things separately too. And sometimes it's important as grievers that we're just on a different schedule. Maybe if there's an event, we arrive a little bit late or we leave a little bit early. But the key thing is to communicate and to just let family members know that this is really tough for me. It's tough for the whole family. They're just all hard losses. And sometimes it's that extra layer of complication with COVID that can make grieving just a little more difficult at this time.
And what advice would you give to family members going through grief together?
I think the main thing is, just continue to love each other and meet each other where they are. We all grieve differently. let's keep the person that's missing this year, let's keep them alive in our hearts by using their name and lifting up their stories. Perhaps it's a favorite meal, it's a favorite dish, an ornament, and of course visiting where the ashes may be scattered or the grave site. One woman told me that they honored their grandmother by wearing their Christmas sweaters. Watched a favorite holiday movie. Let's watch it together. There's just many things, but do it individually, do it collectively. The answer is we want to do something to honor our loved ones.
And is there anything else you'd like to add about grieving through this time, especially during the pandemic where social connections aren't the same?
Yeah, I think the first thing is a lot of times we have guilt. We have first of all we have survivor guilt. Maybe I didn't do enough. We want to heal. We're not meant to be stuck in grief. We're meant to move through it, not forgetting. We're not happy about endings, but we have to embrace it. That's what makes life so special. And so this holiday season, let's just lift up our loved ones and know that they have a lot to teach us. Keep them special in your heart.
Thank you so much for that great advice, and thanks for joining us this week, Bruce.
Thank you, Lindsay, for having me. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, next week, we'll be talking to Dr. James O'Keefe, a preventive cardiologist at St. Luke's Mid-America Heart Institute, about the effects COVID-19 can have on the heart. You can stay up to date with all of the latest developments on the COVID pandemic and other health news from St. Luke's at stlukeskc.org/news or by following us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time on Health News You Can Use.